As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, Obscurians? Welcome to another episode of Obscurity Now, the show that takes a look at weird and almost forgotten pieces of media. Then we decide if they should be remembered for all of human history or tossed in the black void of obscurity, never to be heard from again. My name is Steve, and with me is a man who owns his very own coffin shelf.
It is Yahel. How are you doing, Steven?
I'm doing great. Happy to be talking with you here in your very own dungeon yet again.
Yeah, it's great to be here in my own house as usual. Here's the aforementioned coffin shelf for anybody. There's Steven.
Straight from Hot Topic.
Hey, that is custom built.
Really? So how does one go about getting a custom
barely
built?
in frame, but
Huh?
I barely got it in frame. But how do you go about getting one built?
Yeah. Like you just look up a guy in the phone book that we talked about
No,
earlier.
No. I know a guy that I met in a cemetery.
Oh, you got a coffin guy.
I got a coffin guy.
You got
It's
a
funny,
coffin-
I literally called him the coffin guy earlier this week, my coffin guy. But yeah, kind of. I know a guy, actually it's a guy that works at the same company I work at, but he does like a lot of woodworking type stuff and he's very good. And I saw he had made one like, I don't know, like a year ago or something. And it didn't look like that actually. It was like a lot, it wasn't as deep and slimmer. So I reached out to him and he was cool with giving it a shot. And I'm like, well, these are the dimensions I want. It's going to be like, because that's like you could fit a human being in there. Not a tall one, not you, but
I think you could fit, but not me.
Even me, maybe. I mean, I could curl up and fit for sure, but yeah, it's pretty
Right.
big, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he did it for me, and which was a lot cheaper than getting some. The price he gave me was a lot cheaper than what it would
I'm
cost to
sure.
have somebody else do it or have it shipped.
So you were thinking to yourself, what will drive the goth girls even more wild?
Oh my God.
Aside from just myself, Yahel Velazquez.
No, Steven. It's just a thing that I thought would look cool, and I've always wanted one.
It's an homage to your Dark Lord Satan.
Yeah. I'm going for a theme here. I mean, I'm not going to do too much more here because outside of rearranging the room a little bit, because I am going to move hopefully soon to a different house in the near future. And but yeah, then I'll really goth that one up. Steve.
Well, I can't wait to see it. All right.
I want your child to be afraid to come.
Well, he's
here.
already afraid of pretty much everything, so
Perfect,
that's not going to be
perfect.
hard to do. So we are here to finally discuss Japanese Spider-Man. There's no transition. I mean, how do you go from coffin to Japanese Spider-Man? It just it can't be done. I will say though, you should talk to your coffin guy or your woodman and ask him to make me an upright base made from a coffin. Do you remember?
Yeah, he probably could.
There used to be a band called like the Necromantics, and the lead singer, who was also the bass player, had a upright bass made from a child's
I
coffin.
do remember. By the way, we have Stry.
Shitty band.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. We do have Stry here, aka Stadium Arts, who was instrumental in helping you with some PC issues we were having. So thanks for joining. Hopefully you got to see the coffin shelf that I have. I actually haven't tweeted it out. I probably should.
You should. Well, it was on the gram. So,
Yeah, the Instagram. Yeah, it was a big hit there. But yeah, shall we get started then talking about the Japanese Spider-Man?
Yes, Japanese Spider-Man. So, when did you become aware that there was such a thing as Japanese Spider-Man?
So, I know I've known about it for a while. I feel like I've known about it for at least 15 years, but I've never like watched it outside of like a clip or two here or there or a GIF. So I knew it existed. I didn't know how much it veered from the source material.
Right.
I did know that there were Power Ranger-like goons that he fought, but I didn't know it was like basically like that whole Sentai type of deal.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
Yeah, I think I don't think I ever saw or even heard of it until probably a clip popped up in my Facebook feed or something from YouTube, or it might even be TikTok. But yeah, I've never sat down and watched an episode for sure. So this was definitely a treat for the senses, more or less. But yeah, apparently he's he's basically canon now, thanks to Across the Spider-Verse. Apparently, he actually shows up in it, if I'm not mistaken. And I was gonna save some of this trivia for later, but you, of course, watched the Fox animated Spider-Man show from the '90s, right?
A little bit, not as religiously as I watched the X-Men, just kind of here and there.
Well, in the finale, there's some multiverse hijinks. There's a couple of Spider-Men that show up, and one of them has a giant robot, and it's basically, I don't think he's Japanese, but yeah, apparently that was a reference to Japanese Spider-Man that I didn't get back then.
Yeah. And I still haven't watched Into the Spider-Verse, the first one, so...
Yeah, well, you got to get caught up, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's, and then now you've got the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is ripping off the animation style.
Of what? Of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh, no, there's a new Ninja Turtles movie that's coming out.
Yeah, I saw that.
That looks, it's the same animation style as Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
Yeah. So shall we delve a little deeper into Japanese Spider-Man?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
But yeah, before we get too deep, I do have to reiterate the awesomeness that was Stry, who he jumped into my computer and put everything where it's supposed to be for the most part.
I'm not the computer, like the build I currently have, but he helped me out too with in 2016 or 2017 with optimizing my then computer, and it actually helped out quite a bit. So yeah, thanks, Stry. Who also says in the chat that that being Into the Spider-Verse, or no, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that has the Spider-Verse low frame rate animation. I think it looks awesome, though.
I don't.
So, you don't. That's your statement.
No, I don't. I didn't say that. I haven't made up my mind. I have to at least watch it. My son is excited for it, so hopefully that'll be.
Yeah,
his
but
next.
he's young. You know.
Well,
what does he know?
He's afraid of. He hates and is afraid. He's very picky. Very picky. And he's only seen one movie.
So like father, like son, then basically.
Yeah. Hey, I've got high standards. What can I say? Diving into Japanese Spider-Man, we are discussing Season 1, Episode 1, and the title loosely translates to "The Time of Revenge Has Come! Beat down Iron Cross Group!" Exclamation point, exclamation point.
Wow. Steve, have you ever thought about becoming Japanese?
Every time I listen to that song by the Vapors.
Do they have a song called Becoming Japanese?
I think I'm coming Japanese.
Oh, that's right. Right. Yeah, please don't get canceled by continuing. That's right. I remember that.
I'm a friend to the Asian. After all, I married one, so...
Yeah. So Stry in the chat was saying, wait, you guys are in the same house? Yeah, for those just joining, Steve is visiting my state. So he is.
There's so many imprisoned girls here in cages. You have no idea.
They each have their own coffin.
What am I saying? He's groomed them to not want to leave. So they're here on their own accord, is what I'm trying to say.
But yeah, Steve is here in my home, and we were recording. It took us a long time to get this set up, and at the very end we were like, oh wait, we could have just plugged this into the same mixer. But anyways, I feel like we're taking a long time to discuss Spider-Man, Steven.
We're taking as much time as it needs. Okay, so Japanese Spider-Man ran from May 17th 1978 to March 14th 1979. 41 episodes and one feature-length, sort of TV movie kind of thing. And here is a synopsis. Give me a second here. It's a pretty long one. All right, here we go. young motorcyclist racer Takuya Yamashiro seeks a UFO falling to Earth, a space warship named the Marveler, where he discovers Garia, the last surviving warrior of planet Spider, a world that was destroyed by Professor Monster and the Iron Cross army. Garia explains that he was hunting Professor Monster, but now needs someone to carry on the fight, and injects Takuya with some of his own blood. The blood of a person from planet Spider gives Takuya spider-like powers. Garia then gives Takuya a bracelet that activates his spider protector costume, shoots web lines, and controls the Marveler ship, which can also transform into a giant battle robot called Leopardon. Using his powers, Takuya fights Professor Monster's army and other threats to Earth under the name Spider-Man. Now, as long as that was, I actually edited it down, so I don't want to hear it.
It's almost like enough for the synopsis, to be honest.
Yeah, we don't even need to do a walkthrough, is what you're saying. So the director here is Kiyoshi Takemoto. He is known for Kamen Rider.
What's your favorite Kiyoshi Muro?
Anything Kamen Rider related, of course.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Any specific?
I believe he worked on Kamen Rider Black, you bastard.
Okay. I was just curious, Steve.
But he also worked on No Doi, Denishe Sentai, Denzui Man, and Battle Fever J. Duh.
Your hair's just getting more and more out of control.
Yeah.
As this goes on, every Japanese name that Steve reads, the crazier his hair follicles get.
So this was written by, you guys might know him from last episode, Shozu Uehara, the same writer from Kamen Rider Black, Ultraman Tige, Fist of the North Star TV series, and various Super Sentai shows. Now, why don't you tell me some of the cast members of this?
Yeah, and I think we should point out, just Stry kind of made me think about this because in the chat he said, Smoke Monster. Oh, hey, didn't realize you were here. You mentioned that, so it's not actually Spider-Man with this laughing emoji, and this is like a licensed thing. I mean, it deviates from the source material so much that it might as well not be Spider-Man, which is I'm sure what Smoke was getting at. But
and would you like to know why it deviates? I'm going to tell you anyway.
No.
So the guys, they're in my notes here, the producers wanted to do a Spider-Man based on the actual origin, the Marvel Comics one, but Toei, not Toei, Bandai, who's one of the producers.
Yes, of the Bandai Apple Pippin video game console. That's what we all know them from.
Oh, that's what you know them from. But yes, sadly, I know that fact too. They wanted a giant robot in the TV series, so the guys were just like, okay, well, they're signing our paychecks, so
yeah,
they then created the
and I'm sure
Japanese
Toei,
Spider-Man.
I would assume, wanted to do it to sell toys where they don't have to pay Marvel any royalties because it's their own, original creation as far as the robot that it turns into or what have you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so as far as the actors, we've got playing the part of Takuya Yamashiro / Spider-Man, Shinji Todo. What did I say? I said Todo like it was Hispanic, like it was a Hispanic name. Folks,
it's okay.
we've had a couple old fashions here at my house. I'm not gonna go over anybody else. No. The suit actor for Spider-Man was Hirofumi Koga. I did see that Shinji Todo, I believe he's done a bunch of other Sentai types. In fact, I think Kamen Rider, he did quite a few of that.
Nice.
Professor Monster, which is the bad guy, who, by the way, doesn't he look like Dr. Doom, kind of? The mask, it's got the bolts like Dr. Doom.
Absolutely.
The rivets, I should say. Mm-hmm. But they didn't name him Dr. Doom and made him just different enough, Steve, where I feel like you don't have to pay Marvel any
Well, I
money.
love it how you referred to him as the villain, Professor Monster, because I don't think you're going to be the hero with the name of Professor Monster.
I suppose not, Steve. But anyways, Professor Monster is played by Mitsuo Ando. Who else is important? I guess the dad, Dr. Hiroshi Yamashiro. He's the dad of Spider-Man.
You can't forget about the Amazoness, Yuki
Oh yes, the
Kawaga.
Amazon.
I couldn't figure out if it was Amazoness or
It's written
Amazoness.
like Amazon and then S at the bottom, like
Right.
mistress. So like Amazoness.
So she's basically the right-hand woman of Dr. Monster, or Professor Monster.
Yeah, and she is played by Yuki Kagawa.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everybody, we don't know any of these actors, so we can just move on.
I mean, as long as they weren't in anything else worth mentioning, then sure.
Yeah,
we can
I
move
feel
on.
like with every name I say, I'm on the brink of like committing some kind of hate crime. So I'd rather just move on.
Cancellation? You can't be
No,
canceled. Only
I,
me.
I'm very bad like at with Japanese names and Japanese.
Really? I figured you've watched enough anime over the years where you got it.
I watch it dubbed usually. Legend of the Galactic Heroes I had to watch subbed because there was no option. But yeah,
All right, then. Well, should we just dive into the episode?
yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the Spider-Man theme plays, and I'm just going to ask you right off the bat, what do you think of this theme?
I love the theme. I thought it was weird because it almost sounds like a little bit like an American Spider-Man theme, right? It's kind of got like that feeling of the Spider-Man live action show, but it's also like its own weird Japanesey / disco-ish a little bit kind of thing, but it works. Well, how did you feel about it?
Oh, I agree. And it's so weird that all the Spider-Man themes kind of evoke that same feeling. Like even the one,
the good ones.
Yeah, even the animated one from the 90s, it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But yeah, it's definitely got, I'd say compared to the Kamen Rider theme from Kamen Rider Black, it's definitely more sort of 70s, almost, as you said, disco funk kind of going on there. But in case anyone wants to know, I actually have the people who made this. The name of the song is called Kekiro, Spider-Man. And then there's a bunch of Japanese writing. And then it translates to Spider-Man Run, Spider-Man. And the lyrics are by Saburo Yatsuda. Composition and arrangements by Makaki Watanabe. And the artist is Yuki Hyde. So yes, cancel me away, everyone. What I think is funny in the opening are the motions that he does with his hands. Like whenever he shows up as Spider-Man and they say, "Oh, it's Spider-Man," he goes like,
Yeah. You know how spiders do that, Steve.
yeah. I mean, I've never seen, even in this American 70s Spider-Man show, he never does this.
Well, you've never seen a Japanese spider,
Yep,
to be fair.
you're absolutely, this is my first time, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so the theme plays and it is awesome. Which theme do you prefer between, because I'm going to be comparing this to Kamen Rider Black a lot. Which one would you take? As far as-
Spider-Man.
Ooh, all right.
What about you?
I'll take Kamen Rider Black, just because it's more 80s. But anyway, they're both awesome.
Yeah.
So let's see. I also think it's funny that much like with Kamen Rider, they found a way to work in a motorcycle. I mean, there must have been motorcycle fever going on in Japan.
Yeah, like around this time, it seemed like there's a lot of motorcycle. Maybe also because motorcycles are cheaper than cars. No, think about it. Like from a TV production standpoint, it's cheaper to build like a motorcycle where you just like stick some crap onto it to like make it like spider themed, which is what they did here. They took like a real motorcycle and just stuck some stuff on, then like building something original on a car like they had to do with like the Batmobile in the 1960s Adam West. So, and obviously you need multiple of the same vehicle in case one gets like destroyed or beat up. So it's
Right.
going to be cheaper overall. But I do see here Smoke Monster said that he's contacting the Huffington Post to cancel you, I believe.
Hey, there's no publicity is bad publicity for this podcast.
Wow. I think in 2023 there is such a thing as bad publicity.
Well, I'm just saying we need any publicity at this point, basically.
Yeah, maybe.
But back to the whole motorcycle thing. Remember when we reviewed 70s Captain America TV movie?
Yeah.
He drove a motorcycle as well.
Yeah. I'm sure it's easier to do like stunts with it than a car,
And everyone just loved motorcycles.
And you know how you want to encourage kids to ride motorcycles, I believe.
So, I also like how they read. All right, so we get it through the theme, and then they read the title of the episode for you. in a very aggressive Japanese voice. Do you know what I'm talking about? I always think that's funny. So anyway, the episode begins, and it's a dark and stormy night in a cave. There's an extreme close-up on a creepy eye, and then a voice echoes, "Come, my brother, come, come, marveler, come, leopardon," and we see the shadow of a spider. Of course, this is all loosely translated, because this is all subtitled.
This is very, like, Santa calling his reindeer-esque.
Then we see, I wrote a cyborg-looking guy. Yahel said he looks like Dr. Doom, and I agree with that also. And it ends up being Professor Monster, and he's standing next to, we still haven't figured it out, it's either Amazoness or Amazoness.
It should be like, it's an Amazonian, like, woman, basically.
Right. I mean, I just didn't know if because they already have a Marveler spaceship. I was like, did they take amazingness from Amazing Spider-Man, possibly? I don't know.
Maybe.
But anyway, she's got dyed red hair and is wearing a Xena outfit. I mean, how would you describe their garb?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty accurate. Very, Xena / Conan the Barbarian-esque.
And they are watching a TV. The camera pans over, and we see a ship approaching Earth. Now we are inside a lab. A woman scientist is looking through a telescope at the ship as it's heading to Earth. She screams, "Dad, could this be the meteor?" And now we're at the Japanese X Games, but it's the 1970s, so that term hasn't been created yet. A guy rides his dirt bike as 70s funk music plays in the background while a woman takes pictures of him. Of course, this guy ends up being Takuya, the one who ends up being Spider-Man. Spoiler alert. And he hears the same ominous voice from the beginning of the episode, calling out to him, calling him brother. And he stops the bike and looks around, all confused. Meanwhile, Marveler enters Earth's atmosphere and crashes into a mountain, which, I mean, I think Marveler is a pretty awesome model. What do you think of Marveler and everything that we've seen so far?
The special effects, for 1978 TV show, pretty decent for the time. Marveler looks pretty cool. Like, this is a show where the special effects, like, they in a lot of scenes look better than you'd expect. Like, there's some really surprisingly good motion tracking, with like the three, I can't remember what they were called, because we watched, spoiler alert, we watched this like 2 weeks ago, actually. And then last week we had so many technical difficulties. We're like, fuck it, we'll just record it when we're together in person today. And neither of us rewatched it. But I remember, like, there's like 3 creatures or whatever that he's fighting later on that are kind of the antagonists for this episode. And they kind of like get motion tracked manually around in a lot of shots, or obviously like from green screen elements. And it's done surprisingly well. And what I think they do really well with the special effects in this show, at least this episode, is they match the lighting for the green screen like elements that they use. So they look surprisingly real, and they're surprisingly well comped.
Yeah. Good stuff. And I also like how the opening of this is very similar almost to Kamen Rider Black, in the way that you're just thrown into all this confusing stuff. I mean, the episode basically opens on a giant eye and a bunch of like weird talking, and then a cyborg guy. Like, I know if I was sitting at home and this came on and I was just flipping channels and came by, I would stop and watch just to see what was going on. So let's see. Amazoness and Professor Monster notice that Marveler has come to Earth. Dr. Monster says Marveler should have fled to space 400 years ago, but Garia's telepathy has reached it. I mean, and if you you just have to go with it. Like, Amazoness says she's worried that Professor Yamashiro will discover Marveler and create someone to stop Dr. Monster's plans. I mean, isn't that a little presumptuous?
It's assuming a lot, Steve. It is assuming a lot. But The Japanese are known for being planners and organized and intelligent, so maybe they figured it out. Although, these people aren't Japanese, actually. They're aliens, right? So,
Yeah, there you go.
So never mind.
You're still canceled. Nice try. All right, so Dr. Monster tells Amazonas to kill the professor, and she just agrees. She goes, "Hi," and Amazonas.
I'm sorry, Steve. What did she say?
Hi. And then I love how the editing around how she just changes into her regular Iron Cross uniform. Like it just sort of cuts, and she puts on her glasses, and she's
That's it.
Yeah, and then
the transformation for Spider-Man was pretty weak too, I gotta say.
I mean, they're trying to save time, I guess. I don't know. It's more important to have the action,
I guess.
So after she changes, she takes a little. I wrote a Pokemon with her. Like basically, there's this tiny. It's like a stop motion monster that's just like sitting on a shelf, and she just grabs it and like puts it in her pocket because she knows she's gonna need that monster to take down someone in the future. You know what I'm talking about?
Wait, what? Sorry, I made the mistake of looking down at my phone.
Amazonas, she basically picks up a little Pokemon after she changes.
Oh yeah. It's like a little like a little action figure of the monster, and then as she
and they animated it as a stop motion, basically.
Yeah, as it grows into its normal size, as it grows from a 5-inch little figure to a 5-foot.
And then eventually to kaiju size later on.
Of course. As all these things end up.
Of course. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
So they talk about, let's see. She talks about Dr. Monster creating his plans like 400 years ago, and now he's implementing it to finally take over the Earth. And then Amazingness talks to Spider-Man's photographer. I don't think I ever got her name. She gives her a photo of Marveler and tells her to give it to Professor Yamashiro and investigate it immediately. Now we are in an apartment, and this is so weird. Takuya is working on his bike, like right there in the living room.
As you do.
Yeah, and his little brother and sister and photographer enter. They tell Takuya that the race has been canceled and they need his help excavating the meteorite, which of course is Marveler, that burrowed into the mountain earlier. Takuya says he doesn't believe in UFOs. Can you believe that? That's some attitude, mister. And Professor Y tells him that he'll get someone else to help. Can you believe this guy shirking his duty to help out his dad excavate a UFO? I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And the dad's like so chill about it. Yeah, that's fine. Do your thing.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very Japanese. Like, at least from what I've seen in other films. What? Just going off of other films. Like, it seems like they're a lot more stern. I mean, am I wrong?
I don't know, Steve. I don't know enough about the culture to comment on it in that manner.
Well, you haven't. All you've watched is anime your whole life.
I respect the Japanese culture too much to make an uninformed comment on it. And maybe one day, Steve, through education and repentance and meditation, maybe one day you too will know when to, just withhold your opinion.
Wow. When did you become so high and mighty?
I don't know when I became high and mighty, but I know when I became this disappointed in you.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm retiring from the podcast game. Let me go collect my retirement fund and live out my days in Key West.
So Smoke Monster asked in the chat, does he pull the Spidey gat on all these jokers, like the spider gun?
I'll be honest with you there, Smoke Monster. We never got to the episode with the Spidey gat.
Yeah, we didn't get that.
I just put that.
It's a great picture, though.
Yeah, put that on the thumbnail.
Stry, aka Stadium Art, said in the chat, the nail that stands out gets hit the hardest. They are pretty darn strict and stern.
See? I'm right. I know what I'm talking about. Somewhat.
Smoke Monster also said that I've seen 6 gamer movies and Steve is right.
See? Now you go cancel yourself, mister. All right, anyway, moving forward here. Okay. Takuya, where are we here? All right, Professor Y tells him he'll get
what's the next racist stereotypical thing you're going to say, Steve?
Hey, it's not racist. These are cultural amores.
No. It is kind of like, in all seriousness, like you always hear, at least like the way the Japanese culture is portrayed in media and the family's portrayed, like a little bit more, I don't know if stern's the thing, but like there's a little bit more structure, and you would expect, like, because they imply here that like normally this is something the son would help with, so it is kind of like out of the norm of what you normally see in media, the way like they're portrayed.
But since this is the 70s, there ain't nothing more important than a goddamn motorcycle race.
But you know what? Like, it's interesting, right? Because so this is an actual Japanese show, not like American media's like interpretation of a Japanese family or culture. So this actually makes me wonder, well, maybe they're not really typically as strict or stern as, you know, American media from the 70s and 80s would have had you believe.
I just think it's the power of the motorcycle. Dad is just like, we got to let Takuya do his thing, because motorcycles are the most important thing in the world right
Smoke
now.
Monster in the chat said that's ageist. I don't even know what he's referring to. I don't.
Sure, Smoke, whatever you say.
I mean, you're probably. I'm sure whatever it is, you said it, and
oh yeah, blame me.
You're the straight white male here, so it's your fault, Steve. I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, that's how it is
Puerto
these
Rican.
days.
Sorry,
You can't be blamed.
I'm a Goth Rican. That's like an even more niche version of a Puerto Rican.
All right, now, let's just finish this episode so I can retire in
So we
peace.
can delete the channel before we're fired from our jobs.
Right. So Takuya sees a spider, and then he hears the ominous voice again. And now we are outside at the crash site for Marveler, and it's daytime. Amazonas lets out her little Pokemon, and it grows like 7 foot tall. She also bothers to change her clothes back into her regular supervillainous clothes. I mean, I'm glad they took the time to actually do that. Like, you know, it's the little things.
Yeah. Nice attention to detail. I'm sorry they didn't have the attention to sternness that you look for in your Japanese media, but at least they did this.
I just want it to be accurate, culturally accurate is all I'm saying. So Takuya is about to get on his bike when he hears the voice and sees spiders everywhere. Then the monster attacks Professor Yamashiro, and Takuya shows up on bike and finds his dad, the professor, lying motionless on the rocks. He then tells Takuya that there's been a lot of activity from a group who are secretly invading Earth, and to find out who they are, because he dies. I mean, do you want that to be your final words, Yahel, to someone?
I'm going to live forever. As you know, I recharge in the coffin that I have here.
The coffin that you believe that gives you sexual powers? Yes.
It just gives me all kinds of powers. Well, there's no other power but sexual powers. Steve,
Right.
at
I
the end
mean,
of the
really,
day.
what more do you need?
You wouldn't be here without the power of sex, right?
I mean, unless you were created in a lab, I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're Jesus Christ, you're created through sex, right? So that's sexual power.
I'm not Jesus Christ. I've come to accept that.
now.
Nice. All right. So Takuya notices footprints and then is attacked by thugs with swords. He gets chased into a cave where he sees a spider. And then Garia, the aforementioned Garia, who's from the planet Spider, thinks Garia killed his dad. Then he faints. Garia puts a bracelet on Takuya, and it sticks him with a needle, injecting him with AIDS. Just kidding.
Wow.
You're right. It's the 70s. AIDS wasn't even a thing yet. But it's actually like spider extract or something, and it injects into his wrist. Garia then says that spider extract saved him, and that only one person in the world could pick up his telepathy, and it's Takuya. What are your thoughts on all this stuff that's been going on?
It's a lot, right? What do you think was in that spider extract?
I mean, like spider semen.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I just assumed you know, lotion yourself up with it every night.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't think about my extracts ever since I got my vasectomy. I don't think about them as much anymore.
I knew you'd find a way to work that in.
I was trying to show the coffin of smoke here by turning the camera around, but instead I got like just a weird shot of the floor or something. But yeah, and Steve is here. For those that are unaware, we're here live in person. Hopefully this time it captured it. Or if it didn't, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but so is this? I guess we haven't even made our way through the entire origin yet, but is it convoluted, you think?
Yeah, it's a bit. Somehow they made it more convoluted than the original Spider-Man origin.
Yes, they did. And yeah, because they had, it's all because of the robot. They're like, how can we work in the robot?
Right.
So, you know, they're all sitting around the table. You know, they've got their cigarettes because the Japanese love to smoke. It's true. Remember when we went and saw Ring of Honor and they had the Japanese wrestlers there and they're like, we were like, wow, look at those guys go. And then after the show, when we went to go buy merch, what are they doing? Standing behind the merch tables, puffing away. I was like, man, I respected you.
I really don't. I believe you, but I legit don't remember that.
Oh, I
them
remember.
smoking.
Well, because also when I was doing Muay Thai in Singapore, now he wasn't Japanese, but the guy who ran that dojo also smoked. I'm like, my freaking sensei smokes cigarettes. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? But whatever.
Well, start smoking, obviously.
I
mean,
guess, yeah. So where are we here? Okay.
So yeah,
all right.
this origin story hasn't finished.
All right. So Garia said he came to Earth to stop Professor Monster after Planet Spider was invaded by him, but fell into his trap, and was beaten into the cave where he was constantly being bit by poisonous spiders, but he didn't die. He endured the spiders for 400 years.
And as we all know, if you're bitten by spiders over the course of 4 centuries, you do gain their strength and abilities extrapolated out to your height, I guess,
yes,
and your mass.
And somehow there's a robot and a spider motorcycle as well.
So
somehow.
he couldn't get off the planet or out of the cave?
I guess he couldn't.
And then, like, in the scene where he's explaining all this, he dies. Like, he literally, thank God Spider-Man showed up that day, or whatever the character's non-Spider-Man name is, because I guess this guy
Garia.
was gonna die.
Yeah.
I guess the last spider got him.
So Garia tells Takuya that he now has the powers of a spider, and he's counting on him for revenge. Then Garia dies, and he transforms into a spider. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he transformed into like a real spider.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shots, and actually, there must be like 10 different shots of like real spiders here, where like Spider-Man like sees one in the corner hanging down or whatever. Like there's, and I hate spiders.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I would rather have a roach on me than a spider. I don't want a roach on me.
All right, so the roach, I mean, it can't really hurt you.
It's not going to bite you. Well, and some roaches do bite, I believe, but you're not going to die.
But roaches kind of represent, you know, uncleanliness. But yeah, spiders, they can bite and kill you. So yeah, I see where you're coming from.
I can take a shower after the roach is on me.
Can you?
I can't take a shower after I'm dead.
All right, so now we're in Takuya's room. A spider tells... This was hilarious. So there's a spider. He's dangling right over there in the corner, and he goes, Takuya, hurry up and become Spider-Man by using the spider bracelet to call Marveler. And he's like, okay, I will do that. And then he also triggers the costume, so he does. He then flips around the room once and crawls around on the ceiling. What do you think about like the stuntman playing costumed Spider-Man?
Honestly, I thought it was fine. Like, I thought like you would think it would look pretty hokey with him getting on the walls, and they do a scene where Spider-Man's it's not his mom, it's like his dad's girlfriend. Isn't that weird, by the way?
They always, just like in Kamen Rider Black, there's always like
a
mom
young,
isn't. Yeah.
The mother figure is not the mother.
Right.
It's like his dad's young girlfriend.
Mistress or something. Yeah.
So anyways, they come in and Spider-Man's doing, it's like actually like in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man where he's hanging upside down in the ceiling.
It
and they come into
was.
the room. It's just like, in fact, I wonder if it's like an homage, if that scene is an homage to this.
I'm sure it is.
And it looks good.
Yeah.
He switches from being on the side wall to the ceiling. It's very seamless. It looks really good. And then in the same shot without a cut, the not mom and his sister like walk in, and it looks really good.
What do you think of the spider suit?
It looks pretty good. Did you notice that the eyes?
Yeah,
they're narrow.
The face area is a little weird, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, they made the eyes more narrow, like more similar to like Asian eyes than.
Whoa!
Than the I looked this up. If you look at the Spider-Man in the comics from the time, he still had like the bigger eyes. They do get smaller later, but they're still like round.
Depending on who's drawing it, sure.
But they're still like round, where this is definitely like more oval. Then see how I respectfully discuss this, Steve?
Was that? I don't know. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, who's the bigger racist? Okay, so all right, he swings outside, and you get some pretty cool Spider-Man stuff here. He overhears Hitome, his photographer there, that's her name, say a different professor was kidnapped. Like, they're only kidnapping professors, so as long as you don't have like a doctorate in science, you're good. Professor Monster doesn't care about you. So he uses his spider sense to find him. He then swings all the way across the city again as like 70s funk music plays in the background. What did you think of that sequence?
Little weird. The music especially was like, it was very Cagney and Lacey-esque, just like
very
that 70s like,
Captain America.
Yeah, 70s TV action. And I think just saying that, you can hear it in your head.
Exactly.
It's like that. But I mean, it is a show from the late 70s, right? So you got to expect it. So it's fine for the time. Definitely one of the more... I mean, lots of this show is outdated, but it really made it, to me, feel very outdated in that scene.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can see, like, sort of the camera tricks coming from a mile away and stuff that they were using, and the music. Yeah, I agree with you there for sure. So anyway, he follows some military personnel to a dam, where he then climbs the dam, which, I mean, on camera looks kind of impressive, I guess, just... scaling a dam.
Yeah. It's weird though. Like they went to like a real dam, and you can tell in some of these shots they legit have somebody like scaling down the thing. I'm pretty sure what they did, because I did rewatch this a couple times. Like this scene is he's like, because we didn't mention this. There's some wire work in this earlier where it has to be wire work. Like Spider-Man is like doing like a backflip like in air, but like. The what do you call it? Like the point where you're spinning at? It escapes me right now. The
apex or vertex. I don't.
Anyways, the point of origin for the spin is like his like waist, right? It's not like a regular backflip, so he's like on like some kind of cable wire thing, and they paint out the wires, and you can't see them at all. So
yeah, they're good with doing that.
Yeah, there's some.
The Japanese special effects people.
No, but it looks really good. And what I think they did here was, I am assuming that they have him rappelling down, like so, and it looks like but they had him do a crawling motion backwards. Then you reverse it, right, and you paint out the wire, because it looks like really good. It looks like he's really climbing up this very steep dam. Yeah, the special effects, man. Like, especially if you were watching this, we watched it on YouTube. I guess I'll put the link in the chat.
You can too, yeah.
And but if you were watching this on a CRT, especially in the 70s.
Oh, I bet it looked amazing.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man takes out a few thugs. Then he confronts Amazonas and her thugs. She asks who he is, and he responds with, "An emissary from hell, Spider-Man." Which that's just like the most Japanese thing you could possibly say.
To be fair, that is how Stan Lee wanted him to be introduced, I believe, originally.
An emissary from hell?
Yeah. I believe if you follow Stan Lee's career, you'll know that that was his wish.
So he saves the other professor, whose name is Fujita, if anyone cares. Takes out some more thugs, and then Amazinus unleashes her Pokemon yet again. This time, it grows to kaiju size, and then Spider-Man calls Marveler, who shoots out the spider car. Then he gets in the car, drives it around a little bit, and then drives it up into Marveler and transforms Marveler into Leopardon. Is that a little convoluted, you think?
Just a wee bit, Steve. I have put a link to the first episode in the chat, by the way, for anybody.
Nice, and it'll be in the show notes if anyone's listening to this later. So then this dinosaur Pokemon thing tries, but he can't stand up to the power of Leopardon and his sword. Spidey then drives the spider car and says he will keep coming, Iron Cross Army. I will keep fighting as long as I'm alive. The end. Anything to add about the final scenes there?
No. I just want to say I have the utmost respect for the Japanese culture. And
As do I. We're big fans. Big fans.
they're not a product to be a fan of.
Yes, they are. I mean, this is. Japanese Spider-Man is.
Well, Japanese Spider-Man is certainly a product.
Indeed. So, are you ready to render a verdict?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it.
Remembered or moderated? That's the question.
All right. Do you, Yahel Velazquez, think that Japanese Spider-Man should be remembered? I mean, you really can't. You can't answer no, otherwise you're a racist.
Not after everything we said.
All right.
Monster in the chat said, "So you guys are watching all 20 hours of this thing?"
All right, let me try this again. Okay, so do you, Yahel Velazquez, think Japanese Spider-Man should be remembered for all of human history or tossed in the black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again?
You know, am I gonna watch all 20 hours of this? No, I probably will never watch another episode. But yeah, I think it should be remembered. It was entertaining. I just wouldn't want to watch like all this, but more so because it's subtitled. You can't really have it on in the background. But like I said earlier, you know, I have a lot of praise for the effects, for the time. What are you laughing at, Steve?
I thought you were going to say the Japanese people.
Oh, and you think it's funny that I would be praising them? Interesting that would make you laugh, as if they shouldn't be praised. Just very interesting, Steven.
Well, I agree with you. I enjoyed this. This is an interesting take on Spider-Man. And I mean, obviously, other people thought so because now, thanks to all the multiverse stuff, Japanese Spider-Man is now canon. So,
yeah, it's definitely fun. I think everybody should, like, if you're like a fan of, you know, maybe the Sentai monster type
kaiju stuff.
Yeah, if you're a fan of that, or even a mild fan of Spider-Man, like it's a fun. It's like 20 something minutes. It goes by pretty fast. Like it's a fun watch, especially if you've got some friends and you're drinking and.
Absolutely, and of course, want to praise the Japanese.
Yeah,
people.
maybe if you have a Japanese friend, have them come over when you watch it and ask them some follow-up questions. Is this what your family was like?
Afterwards, you can go to the local library and read up on Japanese history.
I thought you were gonna say something else. It doesn't matter what I thought you were gonna say, Steve. But you didn't say it, and that's
all right. Japanese Spider-Man is remembered.
In accordance to Obscurity Now, the most important streaming YouTube podcast in all of the internet, you shall be remembered. Yes. Good show. Good show.
So Steve, Smoke Monster asks, is it better or worse than Gamera? I've never watched it. Have you?
Gamera?
Gamera? I don't even know how to pronounce it. Maybe you do respect Japanese culture.
I do. The original. I've never seen the original Gamera, and I think there was a remake recently. I mean, the problem with those is sometimes they can be long, and if you don't have someone to watch it with in order to make fun of it, you know.
Why would you make fun of it?
Well, because sometimes they are funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering the reason.
Well, I want to ask you. So, all right, I think I already know the answer to this. So, which one would you choose between Japanese Spider-Man and Kamen Rider Black?
Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I think I might surprise you. I think I would rather see Kamen Rider Black.
Ooh, that is surprising.
Yeah.
Well, do tell. Why?
I just this is like, so if I had to watch like 20 episodes of one of these shows, the reason why I'd rather do Kamen Rider Black is that it is a little weird with this being Spider-Man. Also, I feel like Kamen Rider Black was just a little bit more serious in tone and a little bit more adult in its themes, which makes sense, right? It's not a comic book, and it's made in the late 70s at a time when comic books, especially American comic books, more so than anything, were like kind of thought of as more like kid oriented. It's not like a manga where that would have been more adult. So yeah, I think I'd rather watch Kamen Rider Black.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
I mean, in Kamen Rider Black, correct me if I'm wrong, God, I hope I'm not mixing up with Spider-Man. Doesn't somebody like die, a major character die right off, like in the...
Well, I mean, both of their, father figures died. And
Yeah,
were
that's
both
true.
Doctors.
That's true.
It was just Spider-Man's sort of died off screen. He just sort of showed up and he was laying there on the rocks.
That's right.
Where I think we got a little more of Kamen Rider's not dad or whoever he was, stepdad, whatever. But yeah, I agree. I thought Kamen Rider was a little bit more serious, a little bit darker. And I really, after sending those clips to you on TikTok, I really want to see Shin Kamen Rider because it looks
it looks pretty
awesome.
cool. It looks pretty cool. Smoke Monster in the chat said, referring to Gamera, that's how it's pronounced. They are terrible. MST3K is where I saw them all. Well, I think that says it all.
There you go. There you go. I believe that's this show.
Yeah.
I don't know if they want to. Should we ask? Did you want to? Well, we can't stream the upcoming show. We'll figure it out. Anyway, let us know what you think about Japanese Spider-Man in the comments. Were we right? Were we wrong? And make sure you join us next Sunday as we continue to unearth.
Yeah. Oh, well, we know what we're covering next Sunday.
Yeah.
should mention
do
it.
tell.
So next Sunday is Father's Day. We are going to pre-record it right after this. We'll be in the same room. Probably be a little drunker. We're going to cover Deep Space Nine's The Visitor for Father's Day. Deep Space Nine isn't really obscure. It's probably the least popular, at least at the time, maybe not so much now, of the three major TNG era Star Trek shows. And this episode, there's not a lot of Star Trek episodes that are talked about a lot. The Tribbles episode is one, but anyways, we can get into that in the actual episode. But yeah, that's what we're covering. It's a Father's Day Star Trek special.
All right. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links. If that's what you're into, I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.